episode it is. We've done many of these. There's lots happening today. It is actually a rare occasion where all of us are actually working on something at the same time. So last time we got the bloody NOS bottles back. The issue is trying to mount these. So at the moment, Mitch is doing some bracketry. We're using a non-painted one to mock it up. So I think we're gonna put some he's made some half moon tubes in here, and we're gonna feed either a tie or a hose clamp or something through there. So he's gonna weld up some brackets for that. Working on bodywork. Monique's doing engine bay at the moment. So I'm gonna just paint this in like a hammer finish for now. But like I said, the whole car is getting blacked out, so that's done. We received the boss for the steering wheel, so the steering wheel can go in, seats can go in, start getting that red theme throughout. And then the plasma cutter should be up and running in about 2 days. So I might run you through some CAD design. CAD stands for Cardboard Assisted Design. No, not really. It is 3D software where you draw up the part and then you actually cut it out with the plasma and mount these shocks to the body. I don't know if you can hear any of this because it's all happening. Let's get to it. Alrighty, CAD. We call it Cardboard Assisted Design, which is not what it stands for, but that is where you initially start, which means you can draw up any bracket using paper cardboard and then transfer it to the software, which is a very powerful tool. Now, I'm extremely new to this. In fact, my 30-day trial, I have 17 days remaining. So I've literally had a couple of days on this, so I don't really know how to use it, but I've drawn up a couple of designs. Now, for example, so this is running off the diff for the top control arm. So this is basically, for steering, I'm using ram mounts, which is basically hydraulic assisted steering, or basically hydraulic steering. Doing that so we don't have to run a big drag link, so that runs down. It's actually all, what is this doing, frozen? It means all I need to run is hydraulic lines down rather than a solid rod, which would be on a stupid angle, have terrible steering geometry. All right, it's finally loaded, so you can see here we've got a couple of the support brackets here, and then this is a piece that I made to fit around the diff. And it's actually got the perfect holes drilled out. So when this gets sent to the plasma cutter, it actually gets sent wirelessly through Wi-Fi, go down the machine, hit start, lay the sheet in, find the start point and actually cut this. So, I've never done it before, it's a bit of a learning curve, but once you spend the time to learn the software, you can pretty much make anything without plasma. Combine that with welding and bending, and then you pretty much can do anything. So that should be up and running in like 2 or 3 days. We're just waiting on the three-phase get hooked up to run that machine. So I'm going to continue drawing up some brackets and stuff, everything we need, so when it's ready to go, we can basically punch them out, get the stuff loaded on there, and then we're away. So I'm going to keep ticking along with this while the guys are doing the brackets for the tanks. The next painting that engine bay, or another step closer. Also, my motor is meant to be ready in like 2 days, so I want to try and get that assembled in this episode as well. At least get the bottom end together, and then we can start playing with the top. Now there's a bit going on there, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, so I've just finished fabbing up these pipes. All I did was just throw them in the bender, bend them up as much as I could, and then just cut them to some little saddles. So the idea is the bottle's only just gonna sit in these. These are just gonna be to like locate the bottle, and then we're gonna run some straps around them. Not like ratchet straps, like steel hose clamp style straps, which would be more than enough for this application on what to do. So we'll just have a quick test fit, because I wanna make sure it all goes nicely. I think it's sitting straight. We'll try both and we'll get the full picture. Yeah, they look straight from here. Looks good. So yeah, now we're just waiting on some strapping, some hose clamp stuff to strap around them. We'll paint those black. I want to try and get the strapping through here, that way you can't see it on top of the bottle. Sammy's come over and done his beautiful artwork on the bottom.
Alrighty, just on that, so we noticed there's a little picture on the back of this bottle here, and the other one is blank. Now there's this new app that's come out, it's called bloody Tic Tac or something. I'm doing daily posts on there TikTok is not dead, but I want to do daily little reels on TikTok. I might share some on Instagram. And this was from one of the comments in the TikTok video. David came up with a good idea, and basically whatever comment got the most likes, I was going to paint this on. So at the moment, there is a TikTok on there. Go leave a comment to tell me what to paint on this side. And then they'll both be sitting there mashing each other. So the idea is to have that visible. That's why we're sticking them that way. The car's so lifted that when it's up at ride height, that'll actually sort of be right at eye height. So you could be responsible for the new design. Don't ask me why I decided to put 2 obnoxiously large NOS bottles on there. I think we should fill them with something. What should we fill them with? Because obviously it's just there for the look of this whole thing, but it's gonna start making sense when everything else goes on, because this whole car just has everything slightly out of proportion and ridiculous looking. That is the idea. And
Helium.
Helium?
Helium.
We can blow up balloons for kids, beers for the blokes, balloons for the kids. Someone had an idea in a comment, but I forgot what it was. Was it you saying just purge? Yeah. We'll figure it out. Comment down below what you think we should put in these bottles. Couple of things quickly, guys. Christmas is around the corner, so if you want any merch to fill your stockings, presents for your loved ones, you need your orders in by the 15th of December. So that's to ensure that it gets out when the postage gets absolutely flooded for Christmas. Have a check on the website. We've got a bunch of new designs, some stuff that came out for the shows in Adelaide and Perth that have only just been released online, so go and check them out. Other quick one, the massive giveaway we're having towards the end of this year is that Speedwerx Bender. That is still running, so if you want to go and enter, find the reel on my Instagram. There's a post there with the requirements. All you gotta do is follow Speedwerx on Instagram and subscribe to their YouTube channel. I'll link that down below and you're in the draw. So that'll be drawn on, I'll put the date here, I think it's like the 15th of December or something. So go on that draw, go grab some merch for Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Alrighty, now I wasn't gonna film this because we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. I was gonna talk about this later in the build because we're at a bit of an earlier stage. But Mitch and I were doing some brainstorming, working out what the bloody hell's left to do on that car. We just started tinkering with the gearbox because I had it sitting here. Let's see if it fits. And it's become a whole lot of wins, and everyone loves filming their wins because it's a great time. So I'm running the big block obviously, so I needed a big block gearbox. I opted to go the Turbo 400 with the big block bell housing, so that'll fit. Now the guy I bought it from in Sunny Coast, he was from Gold Coast, but he just moved to Sunshine Coast and he had this with him. And I was just chatting to him. Turns out he had this in a Range Rover with the transfer case behind it, which was the exact one I needed because I was chatting to Dave from DFI and he said get a, I think it's a LT230, like Range Rover gearbox, because they've got a real big offset, which will give me that drop box to get the drive shafts down low so they're not on a hectic angle. So I was like, sweet, what do I need to do? I need to make an adapter. He goes, man, I've got one sitting in the U to my tray, and he had one literally sitting there with the adapter shaft. He threw it in for like an extra 400 bucks because these you just cannot buy. You have to get someone to make it. I could have made that, but this part with the exact spline for the Turbo 400 to this transfer case. So what an absolute win. So Mitch and I brought it home. Things keep getting better and better. The end of the cap on the Turbo 400 is basically round, so we can literally rotate that to the angle we want. So we're gonna mark that out now. The studs that were in there are literally just backing themselves out. They're just drill and tapped in. So we're gonna remove all of these studs, get that in so it's lined up properly, and re-mark the hole so the rotation of this transfer is in the direction that we want it. And that means we've got our transfer case. These are strong as Turbo 400 that fits the big block, and that was a massive headache that I was not looking forward to going across and trying to figure this out, but it's one of those little wins where everything just falls in place and it worked. So pretty stoked with that. So that's our little mission at the moment. Well, there's two ways to do this really, isn't there? There's the Sam Isles way, where you smash a clamp on there, fuck the thread and just send it, or the more patience way where you put a nut back onto its own nut, which creates a frictionless, or friction join, and then the stud comes out. But that's much slower. Nah, we don't need no threads around here. Ever since I broke my heels and got the Spider-Man quad, this guy's been obsessed with it. We got it back on the road. Look at it, we got new tyres on it because Marley kept popping the other ones. Go on, pop a wheelie. Do a fucking wheelie. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Get back to work. You're not just a pretty face. Pull the end of a paint pen out and you get a really short texture to fit in the holes. Do you reckon it's working, bro? Is it reaching the whole way? Oh, not a single one worked. What's going on, legends, and welcome to this week's tech tip, where we have a new chair. I'm sitting on it right now, but it's more than just that. It is also a generator. So if you don't know what a generator is, it's an electric capacitor which turns into the flux of the reluctance of the inductive motor on the 3-phase 4-pole, or the 415 watt, which exits some electrons. So basically you put fuel in and electricity comes out. Now, SP Tools do a few different ranges. They've got the quite compact series, their industrial series, and also construction series. So we're talking about the compact ones now. These are for camping, forward driving. They range from, I think, 2,300 watt right up to 7,500 watt. You can run anything off that. This one's the 4.5. Actually, I want to show you a special feature. What's the worst thing about generators? Trying to start them. Check this out. Turn the key. She's running, baby. Oh, look at that. So I just fire that thing up. It's got electric start. Couple of outlets here ready to go, and you can pretty much power whatever you want off of that system. So it's got wheels on it too. You can push it around. Just runs off normal unleaded fuel. So why would you want a generator? A lot of these battery systems out there are quite big. They can power a lot of things. But think about it. Now it's almost normal to have a microwave. People are using induction cookers. What's next? You never know. You want to go camping, you might want to bring a full DJ deck set. Or to be honest, if you got a caravan, camper trailer, and you leave that thing set up as a base, and then you want to go exploring in your car, you're going to need a Jenny to keep that thing up and running with the big fridges, a freezer, aircon, all the stuff you've got. You can make sure this thing sticks there. And it's quiet, that's the main thing. People hate noisy generators, but obviously, listen to this thing. Press start. Not even that loud. Quieter than a hummingbird on a Thursday morning. Quieter than a kookaburra on a Sunday. Look at that. All right. Enough talking about Jennies, go buy one. Link in the description below. Well, while all that's going on there, I've decided to quickly jump over to the drift car. I'm going to show you a little bit of what's happening with this, because there's not really any full episodes on this car anymore, but stuff's still happening. So the other day we were out and I've had a little pinhole in my fuel tank for probably like 2 or 3 months, and it got really bad at the last event. So when I changed the diff out, because I blew that, I've changed that out to a 4.3s from 4.11s, and noticed there was just fuel dropping all over my face. It's an absolute mess. So I've cracked the shit and I'm gonna cut the whole back off. So that's called like an FD cut. So a lot of the FD drift cars, the Formula drift cars, have a rear cut. Now the reason they do that is to make all the rear end tube, so if there's any damage you can replace it. And also you can add a fuel cell and mount your radiator and everything at the back to get some weight over the back wheels, which helps you get grip for drifting. I'm not going that far, but it will solve my issue for the leaky fuel cell. So we're going to be changing that for a Raceworks 50-litre tank. And the thing is to figure out where to cut it. Now I'm thinking along this line here, so we keep the fiberglass panel. And it'll be ideal to be able to keep this, because I use the rear bar to jack it up to change tyres a lot anyway. So figure out where to cut it. We'll start with that, see how it looks. All this floor pan will come out and we'll have to weld in a couple of bars from that rail, subframe to that rail, to mount the fuel cell. So that's what we're doing now. Then plumbing out's pretty simple. Use one of the Raceworks hangers and some hardline adapters, and everything will be AN. Use the same pump, everything will be fucking mint. Oh! Wow! That's one way to do it. So the first cut's made. I'm going to trim off these sides and see how it looks. I do want to go higher, but I don't want to like do it now and then not be able to change it. So we'll start there, see how it looks, but it could possibly come up to here and follow it through. But the biggest thing is we've got to keep these side rails. That's what we've got to weld to put the fuel cell in. So from there to there. Nice. So
So I've just been chopping away at these rear quarters, and I thought it was funny on the left-hand side what I'd found in the quarter. I'd found light bulbs, old light bulb packets, and I was like, oh yeah, people just drop them down there. This side is an old, pretty full can of Lanox. It still kind of works. Why?
All right, I've had just about enough drift car for this episode, but the tank is in now, last minute. Oh God! I decided to drop in a surge tank, so quick want to say why this is a good idea. Perfect for the drift car. This one was out of the 80 when we ran that car on E85. Don't need it anymore, but inside here are two amazing fuel pumps. Can't let them go to waste. So, because this fuel tank's so small, it's only a 38 litre, if it runs low and starts sucking air, it can land out your motor and explode it. So what this means is the pump, an external pump, will fill this surge tank, which will always keep it full. And the two pumps in here, when you go on flying around corners and stuff, it won't starve the pumps. Now, I'm only gonna need one of these. There's two in here because this motor is only a 2 litre with 1000cc injectors. The 80 had 1600cc injectors and it's a 4.5 litre, which means I can have a backup pump in here. So I'm gonna block one of these off. If there's any ever dramas on the track and the fuel pump's up, I can just switch it straight over and I've got a spare pump there. So that's pretty handy. Mounts are all inside here. Just got to plumb it up with a bunch of Raceworks fittings and it'll pretty much run after that. Chop done. Oh, actually, Mitch is just doing the firewall because I'm under the motorsport rules. You need to have a firewall between the cab and a fuel cell if you're running it like this. So just cutting that out of alley, get it sealed up, then job done. Okay, that's enough race cars for today. Ugh. The annoying thing is, this is literally how I have to get in this car every time. Who decided to weld the door shut? Okay, now I really know I should be waiting to do this. It's not the right time for this, but I just can't wait. I want to start putting bling on this thing. I'm putting the steering wheel on. Oh, the red suede, whatever you want to call it. I just want that first little bit of color on this build. Red and black, baby. That's what's gonna make this thing. This is actually the first time I've used one of these tools. Do you know Allen keys can come like that? I opened one of my drawers in the SP toolbox and didn't even realize these things existed. Gives you so much more handle when you're spinning together instead of just like the little right-angled cornered Allen key. Learn something new every day. Today's tech tip. Wait, check out how much lock this thing's got already. Well, that's just about enough for this week's episode. Tune in for next week when we get the motor back.